you have something to share, first name would be great, and share away.
All right, well, this is Renee. I did do the heart exercise and the yellow. Actually, I did all of them. So it makes you aware again of the joy in your life and to concentrate more on that than on the parts that aren't as good. So it was really fun to think about how many little things, like the song Happy, really brings me joy. So anytime I hear that song, I just want to get up and dance. So even little things like that.
Maybe you could sing a little bit for us. Happy, I'm so happy. No.
That's about all I know.
All right, I think part of that assignment, did Michael suggest to us anyway that we use all of our senses?
Yes.
You know, with that, and that's certainly, if that was an auditory kind of listening experience you did. Smelling. Did anybody smell objects of joy? No. No one smelled any.
Baking bread. You bake some rolls. That always smells so good.
Oh, wonderful. Perfume comes to mind. That was my smell, although I didn't purposefully limit it to one. But that's the one that came to mind most often. Did anybody else use the sense of smell to sort of place your intention in the frequency of joy?
I did. Yes, I was hanging out with the flowers at the grocery store, but oh my gosh, they're a favorite of mine. But lilies and actually the lemon smells so good. And meatballs. My sister was cooking meatballs, and that's a real good smell.
Yes.
Oh, and just air, fresh air. Yeah.
A beautiful awareness. You know, as we share some of these things, you know, next time it can be an idea or trigger for somebody else. You know, it's just like fresh air. You know, here in the Midwest, it's leaves. It's the fall season now. So what is that? Does that bring me joy, smelling the fallen leaves? Absolutely so. And as Renee was sharing, you know, the more we're in the frequency of whatever it is, the greater it becomes. Anybody else have any smelling kind of joy things they'd like to share? Or for that matter, you know, joy-filled experiences that you might have chosen to do or had an opportunity to do in roughly a week's time. If I'm recalling, Archangel Michael asked us to extend ourselves into something we'd not done before, as well as something that we know brings us joy. You know, what I heard right there, Michael said, did anyone jump on a pogo stick? And probably not, but maybe something in the future. Be safe about it if you can even find a pogo stick anymore, but that's Michael's contribution.
What I did was I danced in my living room to classical music, which I hadn't done for ages, so it was kind of a renewing. That's not something you do too often.
Beautiful. I appreciate your willingness to come to the exercises very much. Anybody else? Well, did anybody else do their joy-filled things and share it with their loved ones or their family? And did any of your family members join in, or did you find yourself doing it on your own?
On my own. This was kind of a tough one for me. I guess I don't know, but I needed help with this week. I procrastinated a little bit, so I'm really happy that to hear what others examples. It's going to help me.
Well, so am I. I mean, I'm not sure the time zone didn't cut into some of the folks that are on the live call. Maybe they're just coming a little later, but we certainly can keep sharing that. You know, this should really just be as meaningful and as fluid as it can be without, time ticking away. And it's the day before, and I haven't done it, of course. As Michael says, in the home space systems, you're going to have lemons in there. You're going to take time to put crystals in the corners, do everything with intention. So appreciate those that, did the work with intention. Sometimes the smallest things can bring us joy. It doesn't need to be a a big, large, and huge thing, and I would encourage everybody from, these are not week-long lessons. They can be lifelong lessons that are going on here. So if we ever get into week in our gratitude, if we get into peace and calm, and you have some more sharing when we go back on, if you want to go back and share joy or love, by all means, we can bundle these all things together. And as I say, ideas for one person for sharing can be, healing and helpful for someone else. Certainly I have worked with clients that really don't know where to begin to find joy, and I think that's, where Michael began about, using all the senses, people that cannot get out, people that are in ill health, people that may not be in that abundant way in a love relationship or single relationship or in any other fashion. Quite often it's looking at images of joy, and quite often Michael talks about nature. So did anybody happen to use nature as a joy-filled tool? I know
that's my biggest joy is nature, because I'm not in the same state as my children anymore. And yes, nature is incredible, and I was finding it in the small things, the colors, I just feel like I'm surrounded by life and so connected, and I guess I was questioning, is this happiness, is this pleasure, is this joy? I don't know.
Maria. Oops, I'm sorry.
But yes, nature, everything about nature.
Well, you're touching upon a good question there, and you're sharing in it. Is it happiness and is it joy? Everything to the angels and the masters has a different frequency. Let me just ask Michael to give us any teaching if they're almost vibrationally one and the same, and then we'll see if there's more sharing, and then we'll move on to gratitude. I know he'd like those of us on the call to be one at a time. I heard earlier today he'd like some of the sharing of what we're grateful for, and again, you can, and when we move into that, if someone says, I'm grateful for the great weather, and it sparks your idea and you want to repeat it, by all means. These don't have to be new vibrational statements that we're going to be sharing when we move into that. Before we move into that, as I mentioned, I want to bring in a centering. We will get to the gratitude journal, see what type of masters want to come through and guide us with the blessing, how that might be created, and the other things that kind of were indicated here in the package. So, Michael, what about happiness and joy? How would you like to define it for those that are listening and participating? Okay, he's saying, well, the simplest way might be an image in your mind. One's a C, one's a D. Everything, A, B, C, D, E, each, everything has a resonance or a harmony. So they are different energetically to us. Joy tends to be, joy, there's no wrongness, just in sharing. So if you felt happy and joy at the same time, that's even more powerful. Some would say, well, I feel joy and I feel happy when I'm in love. All the better. It's not as though these, there is some value in examining what we're calling these themes or frequencies and focusing on them independently, but a lot of the times they're blended together. They're just inherently blended. Same would be true with peace and calm. Someone might find joy in sitting in a still woods where you're peaceful and calm, and it brings you joy, and it brings you gratitude, and it can bring you some love and appreciation. So it's not as though there would not be a blending of these frequencies, because inherently in the most divine way, everything is uniformly brought together. So again, our intention here is if you feel a cavalcade of emotions of the higher frequencies, we might say, well, you're greater in greater alignment. But again, it's not in a judgment-based statement of who is in the greatest alignment, if I'm still being helpful. If there is not any more sharing, I would like to move into the gratitude. I myself would like to step aside for a moment and allow Mother Mary to bring the group together in a prayerful centeredness. I know she has some information she'd like to talk about gratitude on a global scale. Then I myself would like to come back in, ask the group to share tell your kind of depleted. It will not take up all of our time here, but the idea of anything is in the way this teaching can unfold for you is to stretch yourselves beyond maybe what you might call normal or typical growth, soul growth. Call it soul growth. So when we do get to the place where I myself will be asking, perhaps she, means me I guess, perhaps she will lead us off, or I might lead us off to get going, but I'm asking those of you to come with your own hearts and minds, not simply recite what I might be saying. That's sort of, in a way, fruitless. And we'll go, the ideal way is if we could work this so that one person shares till they're exhausted, and let's put like a 5 to 7 minute timeline on it. You might not be exhausted in 7 minutes, but there's no wrongness here. Again, stretching and making more neuron transmitters in the brain, and the whole body system is going to sort of strengthen. Just think about, stretching your spiritual muscle. And that would be, as I say, if some of you will find that gratitude comes very easily, some of you will find that gratitude statements may not so much, and everywhere in between there. So some of you won't feel stretched. That's just a truth, I feel. Others of you will. And I would say those of you that have, let's say, a bucket load of things to be grateful for, if the time frame comes to a close, stretch yourself after our call and see if because everyone's plateau is going to be slightly different. But there are advantages of stretching oneself beyond the boundaries. It's simply really a matter of being in the frequency longer. If you've come to any semblance of any form of gratitude, journaling in your lives before now, reading books of simple abundance, coming to the star system more than once when we move into gratitude, you've heard my counsel about gratitude being in your life up to 30 minutes a day, the frequencies of I am grateful for. So we're not going to do that length of time in our time here together. But if I'm being a clear and helpful and loving communicator, we're going to get a good basis here. And anytime as we've shared this many times with many souls, anytime the power of one is greeted by the power of 2, 3, or 4, or 5, it's exemplified, made more powerful. So that's what I'd like to do if I'm laying out a tentative agenda. First, I'm going to step aside now, ask Mother Mary to come in, center us with some type of healing blessing. I think she has a visualization of what a gratitude journal may or may not look like, knowing that there's no wrongness here. And then I would like to move in to the individual sharing, kind of stretching, one person till you kind of feel depleted or the dinger goes off, Michael's saying, okay, using the healing frequency of I'm grateful for. We're going to have written work. We're going to have verbal work. We'll have sensory work of other type. My intention also is to present the harmonic code for gratitude as we've been doing for consistency. Also work on not only the harmonic code in numbers, but ask each and every one of you maybe to build a very simple object that might involve some color. We'll talk about that as time permits, and we'll have time for everything. So just imagine me stepping behind your shoulders, if I may, allowing and ushering the presence of the divine feminine. You might say it's a huge consciousness in some way, although she tends to soften herself through this vessel. Okay, Mother Mary. Okay, we're all here gathered here. All right, as I'm hearing, as I say, assembled here together, I do not have the powerful vibration in the way that my brethren, the angelic realm may do, but it makes no difference. Just know that if we spend some time centering ourselves, I'd like to do it in a way not unlike what we did before, taking some deep, intended breaths, closing your eyes if it moves you to a place of doing so. This time you might imagine, if you're seated or standing, try to imagine that you're using the breath, pulling up the energy from the soles of your feet, not the diaphragm, but from the soles of your feet, and that the life force energy that runs through every human being and every breathing and living object is being pulled up through the soles of your feet, up through the length of your bodies. Inhaling, I would say, and imagining this same white golden light we've described before, upward from your Mother Earth, bringing it through the solar plexus, bringing it up through the other chakra systems, bringing it up with an exhale with the breath. If we could do it again, I'll speed it up a little for those of you that may need that. So inhaling, bringing up this in your mind, a white gold light. It's coursing through your bodies anyway, through your feet. A slow, gentle exhale through the breath. One more time. Why am I asked to being brought in? It was my pleasure to be brought in to sort of center our group here and bring us into alignment, knowing that as I share another message, that was centering, that was some element of centering, knowing that everyone's heart will have a different openness about how comfortable you might be feeling about what you're grateful for, who you're grateful to. I'd like to talk about this journal for just a moment. Again, just provide some ideas for souls. There are certain objects on your plane of existence that do provide more, let's say, power or sacredness than others. The journal itself, should you be moved to make it, can take any form or shape that brings you joy, love, gratitude to create. I like the frequency of gratitude particularly. I myself am grateful for so many things far and wide. So with as much intention as been shared in our other times together, I would be asking each and every one of you to consider creating a journal. I would like to do the blessing now. The journal can have any form, as I say, that moves you to a place of creativity or humbleness, simplicity. They do not need to be complex. It's far more important that what it is that one might express in written form of what you're grateful for. Although I know creativity is one of the hallmarks of the human being, and many of you are quite creative. So if it moves you to create a book that takes a life of its own, and some of you are moved to find objects that you're grateful for, by all means, it almost can take a scrapbook-like approach, if it moves you, along with objects along with written words. Some of you may find that the combination of both will please you more because you're sensory beings, and what one person may not enjoy so much about writing things down that they're grateful for, someone else might have the tactile experience. Same idea, could be a sense. If there's a sense like smell. Some of you may find that in your journal or booklet or scrapbook or shadow box, take any form you might envision. As much intention, as much enthusiasm, as much passion that you'd like to put and create into this. I think it would be very enlightening if some of you were moved to take a snapshot of a journal or your keepsake box or your whatever, call it a book, whatever you choose to call it, but it can take any form, including, as I'm sharing, objects. I think a snapshot of something you're grateful for. I'd be asking each and every one of you in your lives that the centering exercise continues in doing this. It's not just in the breathing we did simply there, but the centering yourself around a project with intention, particularly this one, has every bit as much healing intention as, simply anything might. Everything with intention, it's been spoken of before. So if it moves you to have a smile on your face and have someone take a picture, it is a visual world also, so we can get to know one another a bit better. It's just a suggestion. It's not a requirement. There's beauty in seeing someone else's beauty, and these journals, if you're moved to create them, some of you already have them in existence perhaps, and you just want to add on to them. They don't need to be new creations, but the sharing of the visualness of something that you take pride in. Gratitude has a frequency of pride in a very humbling and loving way. So again, this is not an artistic competition if I'm being helpful in my sharing. It's just opening up the pathways to your mind as the creative people you are. So if some of you purely and totally like to type something, about what you're grateful for and the next time before we're together, by all means, put it together. If you want to put it together with a pink ribbon, that would be wonderful. Pink has a resonance with gratitude. So does silver. So if you want to choose to do anything of this project nature, if we want to call it a project, pink and silver. Some of you may say, well, I know there are other colors that resonate with gratitude, if that's what you're speaking of, Mother, and I'd say yes. Whatever color may move you in terms of some teaching, silver is the second highest healing element, as my friend Archangel Michael has shared with some of you before, and it does represent gratitude. So pink and silver or anything that moves you. Again, open your minds and hearts up to whatever magnificence. It's very much like what your soul charts look like to us. They're filled with gratitude. You may not know this, but the soul charts themselves very much could be seen in the angelic realm as soul charts of gratitude. Yes, they have lessons, but lessons are impactful and they're also empowered with the frequency of gratitude. I myself would like to just take a few seconds worth of an energetic transmission, blessing everyone in the work moving forward. Even if I say you choose or are not able to complete the gratitude journal or not move to it, knowing that everything is in divine perfection, I'd like to send that now. All right, I can't believe she's complete there. Michael, are you ready to step forward, or we're just going to go through the... Is everybody good on that? And I think Mary's finished. I'll start, I think, just to get us going here. If everybody's kind of clear. Michael's asking us to make some auditory affirmations of gratitude and stretch ourselves, and I don't want to take away everybody's space, so I'll kind of limit mine. But if everybody's clear, I don't know how maybe Linda, you can call on a name so people know when to come in after me. And as I say, we don't have to keep coming up with original gratitude statements. We just want to say them, okay? We want to say them and say them and say them and say them, and then we'll see where we are with the harmonic codes that he wants us to kind of shuffle through there. So in no particular order, here's what I've heard from Michael before, just to open up our minds. The word that comes after gratitude can change. So the healing power comes from saying the words out loud, and we're going to write them. We might get objects. We might do everything else. So it's been shared. But I'm grateful for could be a statement you might want to be making. I'm grateful to. I'm grateful when. Okay, so the word that comes after grateful certainly can vary if it helps you think of some more things. You can be very general in our time here if that's your kind of sharing, or you can be more specific. You can offer multiple statements, for example, to the same person, place, or thing. We just want to fill the space here. As I say, I'm going to do a little bit of this sharing to get us going, okay? Okay, if I may begin. I'm grateful for the breath I take. I'm grateful for being invited to a new meditative service this morning for the first time with my friend Catherine, and introduced to some other ascended masters and a different type of healing meditation that I quite needed to quiet my own mind. I find that I teach people about these things, but appreciated being in the space and actually being dedicated. So I'm grateful for that invitation from her. I'm grateful to be gathered around our time here together with those that have chosen to devote some of their time with me. I'm grateful that on Halloween I didn't hear the same Halloween joke 6 times. I only heard a few of the jokes a couple of times. I'm grateful for the creativeness that our children expressed on Halloween, which we do celebrate at our household here mainly for the creative element of costumes. I'm grateful for a beautiful sunny day. I'm grateful when souls ask questions of me so they get clarity. I'm grateful for a flexible body, for with a flexible body there's a flexible mind, as I've been taught. I'm grateful to continue to provide some level of support to those that continue to come to my work. I'm grateful to have new opportunities to work with children and the elderly. I'm grateful when I feel peaceful. I'm grateful when I take time to note the things I'm grateful for. I find that I'm more grateful, and I find that more things show up in my life to be grateful for when I focus and sort of make a dedicated practice of this. Okay, so I think I'm going to end my sharing there. If we can circle around again, we'll just see how this goes, but we'll be a little flexible. So can you raise your hand? Who might be next?
I actually have the lines open, and we only have, I think, Renee and Ellen right now. Renee,
Okay.
you want to share?
Sure, I'll do it. I am grateful for my children. I'm grateful for my grandchildren. I'm grateful for touch. I'm grateful for my arms, my legs, my eyes, my feet, my head, my whole body. I'm grateful for smiles and laughs. I'm grateful for air and water, the earth, food. I'm grateful for my angels and my guides, for crystals and rocks. I'm grateful for my home, the sun, the moon, the stars. I'm grateful for my voice. I'm grateful for trees and plants, dragons, unicorns, elementals, all of nature. I'm grateful for my friends, my family. I'm grateful for myself. How's that?
Okay, wonderful, beautiful. Who's next?
Ellen, or whoever's on Ellen's phone. Is somebody in the 316 area code? So it may not be Ellen. It says Ellen Clammer.
Oh, that's me. Yes, 316.
I'm
Yeah.
grateful you're listening, Ellen.
Hey, I am grateful for my star healing session this week.
Oh, bless you.
Oh my gosh, it's been amazing. I am grateful for my beloved children and all the growth they have allowed me. I am grateful, so grateful for water. I am grateful for being here. I am grateful for the sun, the moon and the stars, the blue sky, the night sky and beautiful clouds. I am grateful for beautiful voices. I am grateful for friends. I am grateful for strangers. I am grateful for Jesus, for Mary, and all the archangels, and the masters, and the angels, and guides. And I'm grateful for Mother Earth. I am grateful for this time on Earth. I am grateful for healing. I am grateful for Summit hosts and their guests. I am grateful for trees, and I am grateful for glistening sunlight on water. I'm grateful for rocks and for fairies and all the elementals. I'm grateful for my body, and I'm grateful, I think I said this already, strangers, and I'm grateful for myself and my soul. And I think that's it for now.
All right. I'd like to see if we can't circle around again. Is there anybody new that'd like to share? Otherwise, I'd like to circle around again if it's just the three of Linda, you want to share?
Yeah, I'll share, but I don't know if I can have a list as long as you're good as these two had without repeating and
well, you can. You can.
Okay.
Quite often, somebody triggers a wonderful thought we hadn't thought of. So by all means, these do not have to be original statements. The healing power comes from saying them consistently, and being in them longer. Okay?
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I'm grateful for my family, especially my daughter and my grandchildren. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for everyone that I work with. I'm grateful for the sunny day, for the cooler weather. I'm grateful for the outdoors. I'm grateful for the great view that I have of the beautiful green tree right outside the balcony. I'm grateful to have a roof over my head and be as comfortable as I am. I'm grateful for my niece and nephew, and I'm grateful for them keeping my dog and for their dogs. I love their dogs. I'm grateful. I think I'm going to stop there now.
Okay. All right. I'd like to circle around, if I may. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes. Yeah.
Because, as Michael says, in the star healing system, and these frequencies are nothing new, but if you come to the system, and we did love and kindness 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes every day, and for some people, working up to 30 minutes can be quite a challenge, and there's no wrongness here. Again, it's just an example of Michael's teaching. Right, the longer we're in the frequency, the greater the benefit. So we did about 30 minutes, 30 seconds, or a minute or two of sharing. I'd like to just acknowledge some more. Okay, I'm grateful when I wake up in a happy mood. I'm grateful when I'm able to be of service. I'm grateful for our children being safe and loving. I'm grateful for the peacefulness that I feel that comes over me with deep introspection. I'm grateful for the peaceful feeling I get when I share something that someone else benefits from. I'm grateful to anticipate my aging. I'm grateful to give thanks to my past. I'm grateful for the moment and the breath that I'm in the now. I'm grateful when I focus on the now. I'm grateful for so many things that I take for granted. I'm grateful for gasoline in the car. I'm grateful for all the, what you might call, comforts and creatures of home. I'm grateful for new friends that I've met through these vehicles over the years called telesummits. I'm grateful when someone says that they feel blessed and they feel less pain in their bodies. I'm grateful when I have an afternoon to read a great book. I'm grateful for the new opportunities that are going to be coming to me. I'm grateful when I understand that the ascension energies sometimes can feel like a bit of a bumpy ride. I'm grateful when I learn from others. I'm grateful when I'm in the company of those that find themselves in a positive place. I'm grateful when I'm in the company of those that do not find themselves in such a positive place. If there's some small thing I could do to shift them as I shift myself. I'm grateful for the opportunity to grow. I'm grateful for the opportunity to master this existence on Earth. I'm grateful for the smell of so many things, and I'm grateful for my wonderful eyesight that allows me to see all things beautiful. I'm grateful for losing some weight because I didn't feel certain foods were of benefit to my body any longer. All right, anybody else feel like a second wave of sharing?
I could go again.
Okay.
I'm grateful for my heart. I'm grateful for books to read. I'm grateful to art to look at, all types of art. I'm grateful for creativity, for joy and love in my life. I'm grateful for sunrises and sunsets. I'm grateful that I'm able to travel. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my special sister. I'm grateful that I can help others. I'm grateful for our changing world. I'm grateful that I've grown in my spirituality. I'm grateful for my cat Sasha and all my past animal friends. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm grateful for our dog Amigo.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I'm grateful that the chemicals that I've been addicted to in the past are leaving. And you've helped get me there. It's been quite a week where it just went. And there's a few, you know, I don't want to get into this story too much, but also thank you for sharing. But yes, I'm so grateful for my little animal friends that I've had in the past. They've been angels of unconditional love.
Thank you for sharing. The other thing is we can certainly, if you continue these gratitude healing statements, try to dedicate part of your life to it, as Archangel Michael suggests. You can go to the future. Maybe some of you already did that in your statements, you know. I'm grateful for my future promotions, you know. You can go to the future certainly also. Anybody else there? Otherwise, I'd like to make sure we get in the harmonic code teaching, harmonics or ascension sort of relevant kind of things. I'd like to ask Michael, some of you I think have been introduced to the Ascended Spaces home space system for, you know, creating more abundance, and there's harmonic clusters in there. One of them is joy. One of them is love. I'd like to ask Michael now if he wants to add a couple new clusters to that, one of them being gratitude, just because nothing stays the same. Everything gets, you know, elevated, and that system's probably ready for an upgrade. So these would be candles of a certain color. When you walk by the objects, if you're not familiar with the home space system, shoot me a message. We're not going to devote a lot of time to that, but except in the context of how to create another, you know, get involved in energy and understand another way to create what Michael calls a harmonic cluster. The love one is pink candles, so these would be candles, tall ones if you were moved to get them. Add them into your home space. He's kind of helping me with this, so I appreciate it when I get help. Michael, just what would be the gratitude cluster? Harmonics can come in numbers. They can come in colors. We should have covered a little bit about this. There might have been more harmonic teaching in your package. But, you know, harmonic frequencies and light codes, that's what's part of, you know, what's coming to our planet. So, Michael, my friend, what would be the arrangement of candles if someone wanted to create a cluster? Because as I think I didn't finish that statement, sorry for everybody, but as he teaches us, it's maybe old wisdom to some of you, but anytime you walk by an object of greater vibrational frequency than what you emit, particles of that attach to you. That's his teaching from the home space system, and it's, you know, it extends itself to our outer world and many other things too. So, Michael, what would be the arrangement of the candles for gratitude? Okay, this is what I'm hearing. If you guys are making notes, you'll have the replay. Five candles, and these are all the same height, if you can get them. 5. What would the color arrangement be? White, red, white, red, white. Okay? And would they be in a line from left to right or some other shape? At this level of learning, simple line left to right. So if you're moved to get those candles, that would be the color, or, you know, those 5 candles in that order is another way to represent the frequency of gratitude, as Michael's teaching. Is there anything else we need to know about that at this time, or else we'll move into the kind of equivalent of the mnemonic code, which is a number. We did that in some of the other classes. Let me just ask him a second. Are we complete with that? Yes, as I see it, okay. What would be the number code, Michael, for if someone, again, wanted to write down a different way to explore the frequency of gratitude? We did it with our voice. We might do it with color and candles. Well, some of us may be doing it with more intentional action toward a growing journal. What would the number series be, please? And these are, simple. This is like basic. What would that be, please? Okay, 9 numbers all in a line, just so you know. If you're writing them down, have a little space for 9 numbers. What would be the number of gratitude, please? 6. Okay. All right, they're little, this is a double, the other numbers we did, everyone were single, if I recall. This is going to be a double digit number, so whatever, So the first number is 6. What's the second number, Michael? 16, 17, 18, 20. You could write that first series of numbers down. Those were 5 numbers. You could write those 5 numbers down, make a little pause, and then I'd like to add 4 more numbers, he's saying, to make a little more complicated harmonic code. You could use the first one. Some of you are ready for more, he's saying, and you could, and then we'll talk about where these codes can go again, if I may. The other 4 numbers would be after a little space. If you're writing this down on paper, again, we talked the other time about you can draw the number series sort of in the air and give it a blow. We did that, so let's finish up with these other 4 numbers, and then we'll see what he'd like us to do with this. What would the other numbers be, please? Okay, 61, 67, 68, 69. Okay, so we got those numbers. That's the numeric code for gratitude. What, did you give us gratitude for a particular thing, Michael, with that code? Or was it health or for life or for the diminishing of viruses on the planet? What was that particular, the second set of code numbers? How could people use it if they wanted to get more involved in their role or their, themselves as alchemists? How could that be used? Okay, gratitude for things yet unrealized would be the second set of numbers. Gratitude for things yet unrealized. Again, when we did the teaching, you could write that second set of numbers in the sand. You could draw them on paper. You could create something magnificent, mosaics if you wished. Some of you will have that willingness. Some of you might just want to do it again with in the air, you might say. So the second set particularly, that harmonic code, is for things yet unrealized. So if you wanted to use it personally, why not? All love begins within oneself. So what is it that may be unrealized? You might not know what it is. You could just say, this is the number series I'm putting out to the universe for things yet unrealized that I will become grateful for. You can certainly send it to other places in the world. You can send it to other people. Some of you are ready to hear some teaching about, mining in the inner earth so that Mother Earth isn't damaged. So some of you with intention may use that second set of codes exactly to go. Remember we talked about the rainforest, he's saying. Let's say this time it's to go into the iron ore mines to replenish them and the coal mines and replenish them so that when the new ores come to Mother Earth to sustain her, they're not dug out and sort of, grabbed and scoured from her belly. It makes no difference if you choose to send it there or not. It's just an example. Some of you are asking me to go more deeply into sort of the realm of an alchemist and not in addition to the personal part. The first set of numbers of gratitude there, no wrongness with any of these. Statement real quickly made again to some of you, these are energy statements, particularly the numbers. They're 2 sets of energy quotients, as you might think about them. And so these would be used in a similar fashion with balance and restraint. There wasn't any sharing about any of those that have used the numbers, which we could make a space for now, to just make sure, did some of you get weepy? Did some of you use them? If not, moving forward, just know that they do carry power, and you may be, as I say, weeping. Some of you may feel a little lightheaded if you overuse them. So again, with the teaching shared from before, just the topic of reintegration means refreshing our minds, I guess, that if you're choosing to use the codes, till you get acclimated to using them, just be aware of how you're feeling, okay? The level of the gratitude does not depend upon how you're feeling. In other words, if you feel nothing, the power of gratitude will still supersede anything that might be in your own light fields and your energy bodies. So if I am being helpful, this, I think, is, again, another way to express yourselves as the divine multiple beings, multiple dimensional beings you are. I do think it's also important to share in our time here together that being in the frequency of gratitude means that your heart has to be in an open place. Certainly, that could be said for joy as well. It can be said for peace and calm. So, check the heart at all times. Check the heart with your own energy, hands, and mind, if you wish, in any number of ways. If you're feeling like you're in a position where something has happened in your daily life, from this time to next week, or if we never meet again, or use this tool 3 months from now. These tools are ingrained in the human frequency. Again, the more anyone puts time and attention to the frequency it is there, is like pressing down fear. It presses down doubt. It presses down mistrust. It presses down judgment. It presses things down and allows you as divine human beings to be living the life that the God mind, infinite mind, God, Allah, all source creator intended for each and every soul. So be grateful on a daily basis if you can. Be grateful on a weekly basis. And then I would be asking some of you to form gratitude circles on your own. This little platform that we have together, it has a finite beginning, you might say, and a finite end. But gratitude circles of any and all type of a soulful nature serve a huge purpose, as would joy, as would love and kindness, as would peace and calm. Again, the more you're in the frequency, the more it tends to grow. Some of you might find it interesting. We did already talk about the color pink and silver. I would go on just to suggest to you that if you're open to the awareness that on the days you might choose to wear pink, could be, let's call it a little experiment if you want, Michael's saying. On any days that you might choose to wear pink, and on any days where you might choose to wear silver, I would propose to you that more things will show up in your life to be grateful for than, let's say, if one wore black. Or let's say, not such an obvious example, let's say white. Everything matters. Everything has a vibration. Some of you, I think, will try it and see what you have to lose. Doesn't mean that if you don't wear those colors, it won't be overflowing. I'm just trying to open your eyes, hearts, and minds to some new ways of thinking or restore what you already know. Gratitude ranks up there next to, well, again, if there's ranking order of a frequency, love is the highest healing element and always will be. Gratitude is second. Perhaps I could go back and share with you what the color of love vibration would be in clothing. Some of you may already suspect or have that inner knowing. It can vary. These are not absolutes, as I say. Some of you will say, well, rainbow energy, angel, rainbow energy, it's in everything. I would say to you that there are multiple rainbow frequencies that the human eye is going to see now that the human eye doesn't see presently. So the colors that I'm talking about, there's so much to cover in some way in teaching, and so I want to kind of keep myself in a beginner's kind of place of knowingness, but it allow you to grow in honor. If you say, well, Angel, I know that the color of love, when I see it, when I wear it, it is white, it is gold, or it's purple like the I am violet flame. I know I feel more loving when I wear red. So there is some inherent differences from person to person, but there's some global teaching that could be had also. So I would say to you, if it moved yourselves, yellow we talked about can be a good basic beginning frequency in terms of color. A basic good frequency for love would be red. Some would smile and say fuchsia. But if I'm making a point of being helpful, the color statement has been made. Does anyone have any questions before I move into some other teaching? So no, it doesn't sound like it, Michael. Where else would you like to guide us in our time here? Okay? We said it before. I'd like to say it again. Be pure of intent. If you say, Michael, what does that mean? I'd say, well, be grateful for things and people you don't even know. Let's just extend ourselves into service. Yes, there's I am, and we're here to elevate your own personal consciousness and knowing. But one would say when you do so and your energy field grows because you're in this bigger vacuum, and you're whistling down the street, and you've maybe never whistled before, and you find yourself being grateful for even failure, then you're starting to come to a place of enlightenment. When you can find yourselves, again I say, being grateful for failure, for difficult lessons, your mind might call them difficult lessons, challenging opportunities. Everything is an opportunity for growth. So in one way, it's very easy to be grateful for the obvious, but I would ask you in your time away to dig a little deeper and also, of course, understand that greater soul growth comes when a person can come to understand, I'm grateful for the life learning that I learned from my friends sharing that they're temporarily ill. Or I'm grateful in understanding why someone chose an action that they chose. I'm grateful in trying to move toward a place of non-judgment so that when I see violence, war, genocide, untruths, mistruths, inhumanity, man-to-man still needs to be elevated. If you can see gratitude in these types of frequencies, then I say you've completed the exercise very well. I would like to bow aside if there's no questions, no sharing, and allow one of my masters, Jesus, to come in with a final blessing. So let's see if there's any questions or sharing. Otherwise, we'll allow Michael to step aside. Master Jesus, can you teach us something in our time here together about gratitude or anything else that will enlighten us, elevate us, sustain us? He says, I've been called upon many times in many ways, and I honor every call that may be made. I myself am speaking, if it's all right with everyone here, for a larger consciousness, all of the ascended masters. Just as though Archangel Michael can speak for the collective consciousness of archangels, I myself would like to invoke many ascended masters. Some of you, I think, know many of many different cultures, and in the way of the land, so that we reach most people, most hearts, many traditions, all souls, white, brown, red, yellow, purple, green, blue, all the souls on the planet. Know that as I'm being brought forth here, I do represent, as I say, in the way that she brings us forth collectively, those on an ascended plane, which many of you are also. I myself would say that it has been a humbling experience to hear your gratitude statements. It's always a humbling experience when a soul makes time to witness the world around them, witness their heart. The mind itself can be not the leader of the human experience. It can be the leader, but it can often be a runaway horse or a runaway cart. When the heart and mind and soul are all connected, body, mind, and spirit, if it brought you peace and joy to extend your hands to someone across the ocean or the river, or to make a new friend and say, let's make a gratitude chain and let's keep making it and making it and making it and making it. The vibration alone from the call here, although it may not have seemed like much, it may not have seemed like thousands of souls were here, which they were not in direct bodily sense. I would say to you that the power, if you're of a scientific type of thinker, then imagine a rubber band that circled around the moon and back, the moon and back, the moon and back, the moon and back. That's the power of gratitude from just a small sharing. You might find it hard to believe. You might know it's already true to be in your heart, but it's more powerful than many of your hearts and minds could use. As we say to each and every one of you, even in any darkness in your life and what you might perceive as darkness, gratitude is always a frequency that underlines it, so that use your gratitude of friendship. Um, Extend yourselves to new people and new experiences so that if you feel in an isolated place, semi-isolated place with what you're thinking, where your spiritual growth is, no one else really understands you, reach out, extend the gratitude. I'm grateful for new friendships far and wide, not only on this plane of existence, but many other universes. Many of you are already doing this. Many of you are open to concepts now. I would say I myself, as I speak for the collective consciousness of Ascended Masters, am grateful for many thousands and thousands of souls that are opening their hearts and minds to things that would have been impossibly seeming even 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 1,000 years ago. Look how far your world has come. Look how far your world will be coming in the future. Be grateful for the changes that are being restored to the cells of the DNA of every living body on the planet. As I myself might close our blessing, know that each and every one of you have been anointed with, I would say, a rosemary type thorn. Your higher consciousness allowed us to do that. Some of you may feel it. You may not feel it at all. It does represent, as I say, being of service means being grateful for all things large and small, and allowing and creating, being intended with your time here. It's a very small token. It's sort of like getting a badge of courage you might have gotten in any type of club, you may say. It will not dissolve. It will always be there. Again, your higher selves granted us collectively the permission to energetically present it to you. Some will find it in your vision, in your third eye, in the next several days. Some of you can just visualize it always. Some of you will feel it and see it and know that it grows. Know that you are valued. Know that you are special. Now and forevermore till we meet again. All right. So, friends, if there's any sharing we can. It's kind of hard to sometimes just talk as lay people after something, but like that. But I'm happy to do so. Otherwise, let's see. I'd like to bring in Michael again. See if there's any tools for next week's class. And if I'd like to just do that right now. The Power of Peace and Calm is going to be our fourth call together on 11/11. And, Michael, would there be some objects for that, please? Yes, he says it would be almost disappointing if I said no. So, again, there's no rightness or no wrongness in no particular order. Here's what I think will be useful. A picture of nature that represents peace and calm to a person. Okay? Picture of nature that represents peace and calm. A white thread this time. And the white thread assignment we'll get to. It's similar to what we did, moving it from wrist to wrist, noticing when you're peaceful and calm. White would be the color I'd like associated with this. I'd like some of you that are listening and considering to get a very deep green letter. You could make a deep green letter. I'd like you to make a deep green letter, a simple alphabetic letter that comes to your mind in your knowingness. So ask yourselves, ask your higher self, what letter would I make out of a deep green? Could be a C or pea green color. Don't worry too much about the green. We can always refrequency the darker green if all you have is a lime green pen. But I'd like everyone to come with their own inner knowing of what letter they're being called to make with the deep green color. Okay? Might be letter A. This would be in your alphabet, you might say. It might be a W. It might be a C. You see? Bring that if your hearts and minds are willing and able. And then I would ask you to bring one thing that represents non-peace to you. Non-peace. An object. Some ideas for you might be an article from a paper about something. It may be a written story. It might be something you've read or heard. It might be a shared experience that we'll get to, but again, something that represents non-peace to you. Okay? Might be the way you've read something in a newspaper. It might be any type of, again, testimony that means unpeace to you. So in our group, we can transmute it and change its frequency. If there are more than one thing that brings you a level of agitation because it doesn't ring peaceful, let's say you see an image of some animals that are not well cared for, or they've been hunted and they're lying on the Indian plain. If it moves you to bring more than one, bring them all. We'll go through them one at a time and we'll transmute their frequency. Until we meet again, be blessed, be well. Know that you are perfect in every way. Thanks again, everybody.